Western civilization has long been dominated by Judeo-Christian values of honesty and integrity. Therefore, many people assume that people in and out of government who have power and influence are, for the most part, honest and act with integrity. The Jewish people in the 1st century AD could have had the same mentality. Their culture was focused on observing the Mosaic Law. The law required truth and justice. Therefore, it was understandable if people assumed the Jewish leaders were just and fair. However, Luke 21 and 22 indicate that was not the case. Jesus performed many miracles and spent a lot of time teaching. He was not causing death and destruction. The crowds loved Jesus. On the other hand, the religious leaders hated Jesus. They wanted to put him to death. Their desire to harm Jesus, even though he was a good man, serves as a warning to us that powerful people do not always act honorably and with justice, even in societies with a history of honor and justice. When Jesus lived on earth in the 1st century AD, the temple in Jerusalem was a fabulous building. Luke 21 verses 5 through 6 tell us when some people commented on the adornment of the temple, Jesus predicted that the temple would be torn down one day. They asked Jesus when that would happen and what would be the sign that it was about to take place. Jesus proceeded to warn them about false Christs, numerous wars, earthquakes, and persecutions. Then he answered their question regarding the sign that the temple was about to be destroyed. Let's pick up reading Luke 21, verse 20. But when you see Jerusalem surrounded by armies, then know that its desolation is at hand. So this happened in 70 AD. The Romans surrounded Jerusalem, and eventually the temple and the whole city were destroyed. Jesus told his listeners that when Jerusalem was surrounded by armies, then they would know the temple was about to be destroyed. Verse 21. Then those who are in Judea must flee to the mountains, and those who are in the midst of the city must leave, and those who are in the countryside must not enter the city. Because these are days of vengeance, so that all things which are written will be fulfilled. Jesus advised the Jews to flee Judea and Jerusalem when they saw the armies. This advice was intended to be for Jews who lived in Judea in 70 AD. Verse 23. Woe to those who are pregnant and to those who are nursing babies in those days, for there will be great distress upon the land and wrath against the people. And they will fall by the edge of the sword and will be led captive into all the nations, and Jerusalem will be trampled underfoot by the Gentiles, until the times of the Gentiles are fulfilled. Ever since the 1st century AD, the Jews have been scattered all over the world. Likewise, Gentiles have trampled Jerusalem from the 1st century AD up to the present day. The Jews once again have a nation in the Middle East, but Jerusalem itself is only half Jewish. The Temple Mount is still under the authority of Muslims. Notice the phrase, until the times of the Gentiles are fulfilled. Jerusalem will be trampled by Gentiles until the Gentile age comes to an end. Verse 25. And there will be signs in sun and moon and stars, and on the earth anguish among nations, in perplexity at the roaring of the sea and the waves. Notice the word signs and where they will appear. They will appear up in the sky. Think about the word anguish and who will experience it. Nations will experience anguish. Pay attention to what will cause perplexity. What would happen that would cause land dwellers to be perplexed by the sea and waves? Verse 26. Men fainting from fear and the expectation of the things which are coming upon the world, for the powers of the heavens will be shaken. What would cause men to faint from fear? What does it look like when the powers of the heavens are shaken? Verses 25 through 26 seem to be a summary of the events recorded in the book of Revelation. In other words, after the times of the Gentiles are fulfilled, then the events of Revelation will take place. Verse 27. And then they will see the Son of Man coming in a cloud with power and great glory. After the seals and judgments recorded in the book of Revelation, then the Son of Man will come. Verse 28. But when these things begin to take place, straighten up and lift up your heads, because your redemption is drawing near. Jesus was speaking to a Jewish audience. He told them when they began to see these events, then they would know that the redemption of the Jewish people was drawing near. Verse 29. Then he told them a parable. Behold the fig tree and all the trees. As soon as they put forth leaves and you see it for yourselves, know that summer is now near. So you also, when you see these things happening, know that the kingdom of God is near. Truly I say to you, this generation will not pass away until all things take place. When a fig tree puts forth leaves, then you know summer is near. Likewise, the Jewish people, who see the events listed in Luke 21, verses 25 through 26, will not pass until all things take place. Verse 33. Heaven and earth will pass away, but my words will never pass away. But be on guard, so that your hearts will not be overcome with dissipation and drunkenness and the worries of life, and that day will not come on you suddenly like a trap. Jesus told the Jews to be on guard. He warned them not to be overcome by worry and drunkenness. The purpose of being watchful was to avoid being surprised. Even though Jesus directed this message at the Jewish people, his warning about being on guard is good for all people to heed. Humans have a tendency to become complacent. We are overcome with dissipation. The worries of life constantly weigh us down. Just as the Jews have to put forth effort to avoid being complacent, so too all of us need to proactively avoid allowing the worries of life to consume us. Verse 35. For it will come upon all those who inhabit the face of all the earth. The pronoun it refers to the day of the Lord. Verse 36. But keep on the alert at all times, praying earnestly that you may have strength to escape all these things that are about to take place, and to stand before the Son of Man. Now during the day, Jesus was teaching in the temple, but during the night he would go out and spend it on the mount called of Olives. And all the people would get up early in the morning to come to him in the temple to listen to him. The word early indicates how much the people wanted to hear Jesus. Jesus was very popular. Chapter 22, verse 1. Now the feast of unleavened bread, which is called the Passover, was drawing near. And the chief priests and the scribes were seeking how they might put him to death, for they were afraid of the people. Jesus was popular with the common people, but the priests and scribes wanted to put him to death. Why did they want to put him to death? Jesus was not killing people. He was not leading a rebellion. He was not causing destruction. The Jewish leaders wanted to kill Jesus because he was telling the truth. He was a threat to their power. Western civilization has long been dominated by Judeo-Christian values of honesty and integrity. Therefore, many people assume that people in and out of government who have power and influence are, for the most part, honest and act with integrity. There are politicians, commentators, and whistleblowers in the 21st century who are exposing corruption within government, business, and the arts. The powers that be are trying to put the truth tellers to death because the people telling the truth are a threat to the power of those who have power and are engaged in and benefiting from the corruption. Despite the long history that Western civilization has of being dominated by Judeo-Christian values, we should not assume our government and business leaders are just and upright. Humans are sinful. There is dishonesty. When dishonesty is exposed, those who are guilty of lying will go to great lengths to protect their power. They may even try to kill those who tell the truth. Thanks for visiting Bible Mountain. If you have already joined my email list, thank you, and please tell others about Bible Mountain. If you have not joined my email list yet, please do so now. In order to join, go to BibleMountain.com, click on subscribe, and that will take you to a page where you can sign up. Your email address will not be sold nor given away. Once again, thanks for visiting Bible Mountain.